Underneath the hood of the i7, not a whole lot going on here. Typically you would see a 6-cylinder or a 8-cylinder under here for the gasoline models. I don't see a lot of frunk action going on, and I'm not about ready to rip this so-called engine cover off, but at least it's some nice design to it. You know, it looks kind of like a glider underneath of here. So let's go. Oh my gosh, that hood sound was sublime. This i7 xDrive 60 dual motor. Now you can get a rear wheel drive. You can also get the M version of this as well, which is going to have even more power. This does 0 to 60 under 5 seconds. I'll show that to you guys here in a little bit. This has around 536 horsepower and 549 pound-feet of torque, if I remember correctly. About 250 horsepower can be sent to the front motor, and about 300 horsepower can be sent to the rear motor at any given time. Now, I like this matte paint color because on other i7s, the grill's typically pretty glossy and it stands out a lot. With this matte color, it is stunning, and the grill and the paint color kind of form a one piece. So there's not a lot of contrast going on, but that's perfectly fine because sometimes this is just a little bit too much on, let's say, a white painted i7. The BMW logo looks amazing here. This has an optional crystal daytime running lights as well. What do you guys think about that? Are they blingy enough for you? Nighttime lights down here below. It's beautiful from the front. It does have the optional 21-inch wheels, which is going to reduce your range as well. This vehicle is so wide, it's actually slightly longer than a Cadillac Escalade. And it also weighs about as much as a Cadillac Escalade, around 6,000 pounds. It is a monster of a vehicle, and that's fine because it is a luxury flagship, so you want it to be big and in charge. I love the handles here. Look how they don't stick out of the body. They go in, so they're very aerodynamic. I can open the doors with that button. Pretty insane. And of course, I can close it with this button too, if I want to. But keep in mind, these are also soft close. And I prefer to actually push the door shut most of the time because sometimes, as I'll show you here, the whole door moves just for you to touch the button. So it's just kind of awkward sometimes. So there it goes. I don't know. Sometimes I can get them to work properly. I'm sure it's a user error at this point in time, but I like the black bezel around the windows as well. Fully glass roof that has illumination to it at nighttime. The striations on the roof are blue, or I'm sure they're customizable as well. I'm not really looking up while I'm changing the driving modes, if you know what I mean. Also on the side mirror, we have this crystal display. It looks like light reflecting off a chandelier at night that comes down on the side of the vehicle. It's incredible. As we come to the back, love these simple taillights, BMW written here on the edge. Very sleek rear end. The front end's a little bit busier, but this rear end's very minimal, almost like a fighter jet or something like that. And that maybe ties back to BMW's roots as an airplane engine designer, you guys know. xDrive 60 here, but like I said, you can get the 70M. I think I'm saying that correctly. That's just going to give you even more horsepower. But how fast do you need to go? This thing will already do 0 to 60 in the 4s. Do you need to be in the 3s? I guess if money's no object, right? I love how they make this simple. Unlike Mercedes that sometimes have the flip up rear logo to show the camera's just built into the logo here. This is the most subtle rear spoiler I think I've ever seen. And I like how it's glossy because then it accents really well this matte paint color. Glossy rear portion to the bumper as well. Of course, you have an automated rear trunk. Not that big of a trunk, to be honest. It's very long, but it's not that wide. Underneath here is your charging cable, so you're not going to have any spare tire that I'm aware of here on this i7. So closing this, I haven't talked about the charging, so let's go around to the charging cap. I like how this kind of is spring-loaded as well, and it kind of will open up for you. Very loud AC charging or DC charging. Of course, I've been doing AC only at home. I'm in level 2, but it can charge up to 11 kilowatts on level 2. On level 3, it will do, I think, 195 kilowatts of peak charging on this 101.7 kilowatt hour battery. With a battery of this size, it's no surprise it can go up to about 300 miles of range, even though it's pretty inefficient with its massive weight. Usable battery is 101.7. Total battery capacity is 105.7, so you got a 4 kilowatt buffer there here on the i7, and I'm about done walking around this beautiful massive saloon. Let's go and get into the rear seats, because in a vehicle like this, rear luxury is the name of the game, and my kids know this back seat a lot better than I do. They've been playing with the touch capacitive controls on their way to school. And if you get this white interior, just keep in mind this has about 15,000 miles on it. I'm starting to see a little discoloration, so you might want to have that detailed and cleaned quite regularly if you get this beautiful beige white interior. The material of these seats is like a couch. It's super soft, very impressive, very luxury. Back of the seat, there's a USB charger, and then a strange compartment here. I'm not really sure why that hole's there. I'm sure someone can tell me, but there's a hole there, and then a USB-C that is hideable. All right, look at these grills. The speakers light up too when the car is on. Speaking of which, I probably need to turn the car on. And here's the BMW key. I need to turn the car on to get all the functions I'll get all the functions working in that back seat. So let's go ahead and do that here. Brake. Oh, and then when you put your foot on the brake, the door automatically closes, which scares the heck out of me, because I'm in and out of this vehicle all the time, and so I have to squeeze my leg in before it gets banged in the shin. Now the car door will not close on you. It will hit you and then open back up, so it won't just like snap off your foot or anything. Bowers & Wilkins sound system, I'll talk more about it later, but the speaker grills are pretty. You also have LED lighting around the speakers. It's pretty nice. Notice the materials here are fantastic. Oh, and you also have a manual override for whatever reason you get trapped in the car. I think this closes the door. There it goes. But this also opens the door. So when you want to push the door open, you press and open. But I think, yeah, that one also opens the door as well. So you have 3 different ways to open the door back here. Who would have thought? All right. So panel roof, we have this massive screen. You lower the screen by playing with the touch screen. So go to display, theater, we'll do fold down. And then it automatically folds up the sunscreen so you're not distracting people behind you, driving behind you. You have this fancy animation here. And then I can also adjust the screen where it's at. I can tilt it, I can bring it forward. Pretty neat. I can move it forward, right? It's moving closer to my face, which is, I'm already getting a little claustrophobic here, so we're gonna move it back. Why would you move it forward? Well, this seat can recline. Now, let's go back here. Now, you can use this as a touchscreen, by the way. It's a massive touchscreen. And Fire TV, this is the thing. I don't have a BMW ID, so without that ID, it won't allow you to connect to Fire TV, nor your Netflix app or your Hulu app or anything like that. So unless you have a running subscription here, to my knowledge with BMW, you won't be able to access Fire TV, right? It says you're offline. But I could be wrong on that. I'm not going to waste hours trying to figure it out. Now you actually have a camera here for probably teleconferencing, right? Because you have VIPs back here. But I could bring my Nintendo Switch in here, plug it into the USB-C, and then also plug it into the HDMI. So that's what I would be doing back here if I was on a road trip, or I brought my kids on a road trip or something like that. I'd plug in the Nintendo Switch. Or I would plug in a Chromecast and I would run Wi-Fi off my phone and cast to the Chromecast that way. But I wouldn't be messing with the built-in stuff due to BMW's lockdown with their software, seemingly. All right, so honestly, this is like a multi-$1,000 option. I would not be wasting money on it. Just buy a couple iPads and call it a day. All right, so with that being said, I'm gonna fold this screen back up. Pretty cool. It takes a while, but it is entertaining. And the screen will turn off once it's fully up. Now, I also would benefit from not having this here, so I could fully look at the beautiful panel roof. With this here, it takes away from the panel roof experience, unfortunately. I have an amazing headliner in here, another speaker on top. Like, the materials are out of this world. But there's more you can do with this rear screen. Now, of course, you have one for that side as well, but I can make calls. I can change the modes. Now, I can't like put the car into sport mode, for example, but I can change the different modes, which is pretty cool. So you can see, okay, relax, just closed all the sunshades. It opened that sunshade, I think, but it closed the ones back here. And then theater mode is reclining me right now. it's so cool. So yeah, for example, input, that's how I'd be putting on, you know, my Nintendo Switch, for example. Let's get back to different mode here, maybe personal. Let's close the screen. Yeah, fold up, get it out of my way. Oh, I can't access the screen while it's folding up. That's a bummer because it takes a long time. All right, so anyways, it's folded up. I'm gonna exit out. Now the seat here, that's a big part of this experience. You have massaging seats back here. They are not, I repeat, they are not bum massaging seats, but you have a lot of customization here for the different type of massage that you want. All right, so pretty neat. I love massaging seats. I believe that's one of the more affordable options in this i7. These vents are pretty cool. I like how they have a little rubber action to them. And you can close and open them right here. A little storage tray down here. There's just so much back here. Let's go to the fold down. Wireless phone charger. I can open this up. We have 2 more USB charging, right? Because if this is not enough, you have 2 more back here. And then this pops out right here as your cup holders. Notice how we have kind of like that crystal pattern around here. That is the same crystal pattern. It is not illuminated back here that I'm aware of, but it's a similar crystal pattern that we have up on the front dash. So with that being said, it's very cozy back here, lots of room. I could, you know, get my back massage back here any day of the week. I'd be a very, very happy customer. This seat is already set up for me at 6'1", so it lets you know how much leg room is back here. It's absolutely insane. All right, so let's go ahead and open the door here, get into the front seat where there's just as much going on. And this also has the M Sport package, which gives you, you know, the door sills, the M Sport steering wheel, probably the M Sport wheels. Yeah, you can see it right here. So a little sporty flair, but again, it's not that top 70M, I think is what it is. I could be butchering that, but yes, this is not the top performance, but you'll see that there's plenty of performance here. So there's even crystal on the seat adjustments here. I love the speaker grille. The LED lights here are pretty fancy, and they're not just strips. I like how BMW switched it up and made it pretty special with the crystallized LED lighting here. Just fantastic materials. Let's go ahead and close the door. It's right here, right? On the back door, there's a button for it, but there you go. The vents have touch capacitive controls for off and on. You also control your vents with these little rubber slider things. It takes some getting used to because you can't see the vents. They're kind of hidden in the background. If I look hard, I can see it back there. But these vents, you pretty much can't see them, especially when it's bright out. So you just kind of have to feel around where the air is going instead of looking at where the air is being pushed. All right, wireless charger back here. All right, so the car is back on. When you leave the car, it turns off. We have an amazing head-up display, a fully digital screen here, a very wide screen. This is all like under one piece of glass to my understanding. And it gives me all the metrics. It tells me my battery charge, it tells me the temperature outside, it tells me how much range I have left. It'll tell you your regen here while you're regenning, and then your power output. Now this is all customizable with the steering wheel. You press this cog here, and then I can change what I see for the information. Honestly, I prefer just to have it on the most basic information as possible because this vehicle has a lot of overload. So there's this screen, there is a more basic screen as well. I wouldn't mind that, but I like seeing my regen. So this screen is typically, yeah, this one is what I stay on, and the head-up display is the most basic one. All right, let's get into this screen. This is, I haven't been able to connect my Android Auto all week to it, and there's no physical connection, even though I have USBs here and they have a USB data. it is not data seemingly, because my phone doesn't connect through it at all. So that's a big miss. I don't know why it's been so difficult for my phone to connect here, but it is what it is. SiriusXM is pretty cool. I can remove my favorites and add favorites, but since I don't have a profile, a BMW ID, it won't actually let me save my presets. So that's been pretty frustrating as well, especially since I can't play my Android Auto or Bluetooth. I haven't even been able to connect this through Bluetooth either through my phone. Anyways, the carbon fiber here is amazing. I think that's probably part of that M Sport package. This crystal's pretty cool. Does it feel cheap to me? Maybe, but it's also a unique detail that most other automakers are doing, so it does stand out. You can fold down the glove box here and we can take a peek at the price and some of the options. It's $156,595. I could probably live without the rear executive lounge seating with the ottoman, which I didn't even show you the ottoman back there because it's only on this side. I could live without that. I could live without the automatic doors, the crystal headlights. That's a $6,000 package. Probably live without the Alcantara headliner, which it is really nice in here, but I could live without it. I do like the driving assistant package for highway driving. If you're going to be doing highway driving, I do think spending $5,000 on this frozen deep gray is worth it. Call me shallow, but it looks amazing. M Sport professional package, probably worth it at $950. Parking assistant package with surround view, 3D view, is totally worth it. It's that top-down camera. Executive package, already talked about that, not worth it. Rear executive lounge seating with the BMW theater screen and reclining seat, not worth it unless you have people back there all the time. It looks like the M Sport Package Pro is just included here at no cost, but I could be reading that wrong. Better close that back up. Is it gonna, no, so you can open it with that button, but you cannot close it with that button. So that is a little bit disappointing here. You have a crystal rotary dial. I don't ever use it. You can choose your modes here for drive select, as well as passenger comfort, things like that. Personal sport mode is all I've been in, really. I do have ride height selection. This does have air ride suspension, of course, adaptive dampers. It is a complete cloud. Auto brake hold is fantastic in here, and you have a little, this is all you get for your crystal drive selector, so just down into drive or it to be for your regen mode. The steering wheel is fantastic. It's super soft and leather. It's very luxurious, I would say. Your little boost button back here for over boost performance, and that's about it. I mean, these seats are amazing. I wish this was my computer chair at home with a thigh extension, the massaging seat. So I just press this, it gives me into the driver's seat, and I just click massage, and I get the party started that way. Climate has been so good in here that I haven't been adjusting it hardly at all. I just reduce here or increase it because the auto is so good. I don't mess with this much. Now, if I need to turn on my heated steering wheel or ventilated seats, I could do that through this menu as well. The ventilation in here is quite nice, but it's been pretty mild this week, so I haven't been using it all that much. I also have a little camera in here, a cabin camera. Creeps me out a bit, but there it is. And then you also have not touch capacitive lights. On the light, they're back here. So that's a little bit different. And then what's up here? Reading light, so you can customize the lights. So there's just so much going on here. I haven't been using most of it, to be honest, other than massaging seats and basking in the comfort that this car provides. So what do you say we get on the road? Backing out of the driveway, what would otherwise be a Herculean task with the size of this thing. Oh, let's turn that music off. Love that volume wheel there. But like, the four-wheel steering cuts this vehicle's wheelbase seemingly like in half. Moving this thing around is kind of comical because it shouldn't be doing the things it is doing in low-speed maneuvers. It is just way too easy parking and driving this thing at low speeds. Not only you have a ton of cameras, but you have sensors everywhere on the side of the vehicle, the front and the rear. Now, I have disabled the artificial sound in here because for me, I either want the sound of an internal combustion engine, like a V8 that you can get in the 7 Series, or like a 6-cylinder you get in the 7 Series, or I don't want any pumped-in noise in an EV, right? An EV gives me instant power and torque, that's great, but I don't want any artificial sounds. And so I don't have any of that. You're able to disable that, and I'm very, very happy that BMW gives you that option. Because a lot of the other manufacturers are like, nah, this is our proprietary sound, which they definitely have one here, and it is obnoxious. So I just disable it, give me that complete bliss silent experience that EVs can afford you. And there's no like goofy noises going on at slow speeds either, like a lot of Toyota hybrids or Honda hybrids or Hyundai hybrids, for example. Braking in this thing, it's pretty good. Every once in a while I get that teetering effect that EVs seem to have from time to time. It's kind of comes to an abrupt stop and it kind of dives at the last second, but for the most time I can avoid that. And there's also a one pedal driving system here. You can just put it into B mode. I don't know if you can see that here, but on my gauge cluster, there's a big B instead of a D, and it is one pedal driving as I come to the stop sign here. The pedal is definitely heavier, a lot longer travel compared to, of course, single or two pedal driving, but I always prefer two pedal driving. That's just my experience, unless there's like a lot of stop and go traffic. One pedal, that's great. Now, let's see here. We do have different modes. Maybe we'll go to sport mode here, and you can see the lights just changed radically. And I'm just going to, I got my drag meter out, stop, and go. Gosh. Okay. Honestly, I don't feel like it gives you full power until about 50 miles an hour. That was 4.64. I don't know if there's a torque brake I could do here. Honestly, that launch was pretty weak sauce for this sort of class of vehicle with its power, with 536 horsepower. So 4.5 seconds roughly is what I was just able to rattle off. That was the first time I did a 0 to 60 in this car. And I think Car and Driver, and I'm gonna throw this in the turn here, this thing has no business handling the way it does. It feels like it's 3,000 pounds in the turn. Oh, it's so good. This thing weighs a little over, gosh, what is it? Is it 6,000 pounds? I'm trying to remember. I think it's a hair over 6,000 pounds. It is super heavy, but just getting around it just feels so silky smooth. Does it feel a bit synthetic? Absolutely, but it doesn't make it any less enjoyable. Getting on the gas, throwing it in the turns here, it is just unbelievable how this vehicle handles. I don't have words for it, so I'll just leave it there. Handling on this vehicle, it feels like it weighs half as much as it does. So I don't know. There's some BMW wizardry going on here. Maybe it's all-wheel steering. I don't know. I'll just leave it there. But I haven't seen this lighting. I have a little blue. You guys can't really see it, but there's blue here on my driver door. Then it turns to red in the middle, red behind the screen. Then go back to blue there. It's pretty cool. And we'll do 0 to 60 here again once we get a green. Can we torque brake? Yes. That might have been a little bit better. Oh, it said launch control active. Okay, 4.24. That's more like it. That felt a lot better. And I just love how quiet it is. When you disable that feature, that fake sound, absolutely silent missile. And this thing's like an intercontinental missile with how huge it is. And with these driving modes, they give you, I can switch mode here, or there's a dedicated button. I'm pretty much always in personal mode. And the bolstering relaxed when I did that. So I haven't been able to get Android Auto to work this week, and that has been a frustration. I can't get my phone to connect whatsoever. There is no USB to directly connect the car. Data-wise, the USBs in here are charge only seemingly, so that's been a bummer. The sound system in here has been pretty good. The bass has a good range, but for Bowers & Wilkins, I'm expecting a lot more pump, a lot more hard-hitting bass. This vehicle just doesn't have it. If you turn up the bass, it's over-bassed at low volumes. If you turn up the volume, it's under-bassed at higher volumes. So it's not perfect, but the mids and highs are pretty excellent, and it does kind of have a little bit of that magical effect where you're hearing things in old songs that you've never heard before, but I want that thump, and I don't really have it here in this vehicle. Climate control is always here at the bottom. I probably mentioned all of this in my walk around already, but I hardly ever use anything around the armrest. Yes, you can use this touchpad here, but why when this is so close to your reach? I do use the volume scroll wheel all the time though, instead of these buttons up here on the steering wheel. Steering wheel, I really wish I had more control over the cruise control, because let's say it's active. Well, it is active right now. I'm going to go ahead and set it 55 here. And the head-up display is fantastic, and you can customize it with the steering wheel too, which is pretty easy to do. You just press this cog wheel, move over this little joypad, and then you can choose a sport view, you can choose assisted view, and it is pretty fantastic. But I just keep it on reduced view. I don't want it to take up a ton of space. Probably my favorite thing about the head-up display though is when I scroll here, it shows me the radio stations and which song and which artists are playing on that radio station. So I literally don't have to take my eyes off the road to see what's going on here. It's a bit amazing. Now, I really don't like this radar cruise control. You can't adjust from the steering wheel how sensitive it is with cars in front of you and you're pacing. The steering assist is okay on it, but it seems to have a mind of its own when it comes to pacing, and I really just don't enjoy it. So there's also this boost mode on the steering wheel, so maybe I can go back to sport mode. I'll put it into boost. I forgot about boost, honestly. So I got like 4.2 a second ago without boost. I wonder what's going to be with boost here. I know it just seemed like a hooligan going from stop sign to stop sign, but that's what I mean. This is the first time I've actually pushed the envelope here with this vehicle, accelerating, because it is just so smooth, and I like to take my time. And I'd be happy with the rear-wheel drive model. If you live in a climate where you need all-wheel drive, there's the boost. I didn't torque brake it. Gosh, okay, I almost felt like okay, it's 4.86. It felt pretty good though. And I actually felt like there's an instance where I could have been losing some traction, but let's say boost would get it down to 4.1, something like that. Who needs to go that fast in a 6,000 pound sedan? I don't know. But that's why you spend 150 grand for this. But honestly, I'd be happy with the rear wheel drive model, get a little bit better range. You still have like 440 horsepower, somewhere around there. And I'd be perfectly happy with that, because like I said, before this review, just driving around town, driving my kids to school, I've been really enjoying maximizing the efficiency here, which I've been getting around 3 miles per kilowatt hour. The best I saw is 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour, and that gets us to about 320 miles of range in the city. On the highway, it's probably going to be somewhere around 2.5 to 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour, and now it's going to bring down your range to about 260 miles if you're going at over 70 miles an hour. So it just depends on what kind of driving you're doing. But I would say highway range is probably going to be mid to upper 200s, right? It's just hard to say depending on how you drive and how fast you're driving, and if you're going up hills and mountains and that sort of thing. The speaker on this side in sport mode is red, and the speaker on that side is blue. So let's go ahead and take it out of, let's go ahead and put it in personal mode. And I don't really understand personal mode because I don't know if there's a way to actually personalize personal mode. It just seems like, honestly, sport mode didn't feel that much different. The steering was a little bit sharper. Maybe the suspension was a little bit stiffer. But yeah, it still handles really well in personal mode, and you still have that instant torque in personal mode as well. Just maybe not the full, like the full 99% or 100% of the acceleration, which again, for the streets, it's just absurd. All right, so I haven't driven a whole lot of EV sedans. So what can I compare this to? Well, I have driven the G80 electrified. That interior blows this interior away. It's far more functional. I have actually buttons and knobs. I have better materials. The carbon fiber here is cool, but it's so reflective that it's kind of distracting. I'd rather have it like a matte resin carbon fiber instead of this high polished glossy. They probably do that so the LEDs reflect off of it, and then you get a sensation of speed when you see things in your peripheral reflecting off that carbon fiber. To me, it lessens the experience. Now, I have a lot more room in here than the G80. G80, my head was a little bit closer to the roof than it is here. The massaging seats in here are pretty good as well. Unfortunately, they don't massage your bum. What the heck? This is a $150,000 car. I want bum massagers. That's a miss for me. The software has been extremely frustrating. You're just flying through here trying to find the right settings. Then you press the square, and then look how many different apps there are to control different things on the vehicle. So yeah, from a driver's perspective, in terms of luxury feel, when I'm not playing with the climate control and stuff like that, or I'm not playing with this screen, these seats are big comfy couches, kind of like an old school LS430. It's super quiet. I get a tiny bit of wind buffeting. The ride quality is sublime. I feel like I'm on a magic carpet. I'm just floating around, which is awesome. Yeah, it's great. It's great. But when you start interacting with the software of the car, it starts detracting from the experience. And I found that to be the exact same with the X1 that I drove. The Z4 that I drove earlier this year with the older software is amazing. I loved that car. You still had all the buttons and knobs and stuff in there. Very old school, and it felt great. Would I be happy to drive this car all the time? Yeah, probably. I think if it didn't have the all-wheel steering or the four-wheel steering or whatever, it'd be hard to live with for parking this boat. But since it does, it makes it much more livable. It is super smooth, super quiet, great ride. Feel. The materials on here are really, really nice, where the soft touch points where your body comes in contact. The only asterisk to that is that my knee comes in contact with the plastic part of the door. This should be completely leather here, because that's where your knee is touching. Instead, it's all plastic. And this is so wide down here that my knee's never coming in contact with. I love this vehicle. I'll just get the rear wheel drive, skip a lot of the features like the screen in the back. These doors that open up and stuff just they're not necessary. They're more confusing than anything. And in fact, you have to open the doors if you want. Gosh, I think you have to go through here somewhere. Theater screen, no. Driver setting, no. See how, like, just finding the buttons to open up the doors is frustrating, right? You have to take your eyes off the road. I'm already done with it. I'm not going to try to figure out how to open the doors and windows. There it is. It's all the way over there. Unlock and lock them, automatic doors, sun blinds. Now you can tell the computer to do the sun blinds for you and to turn on your massaging seats and stuff, but I don't like using voice controls unless I absolutely have to, and this vehicle pretty much forces you. Despite me flooring this vehicle, it only brought my average down to 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour. So it seems to hover around 3 miles per kilowatt hour in town, no matter how you drive it. So anyways, I'm gonna end it there. I love the looks of this thing. I love the ride feeling. BMW just come back to being more human interactive instead of voice controls and flying through a gajillion different submenus here to do anything in the car. The car is super welcoming with its comfort and its cool tech, but then you realize you have to fly through the tech to do anything, and it takes away from that calming experience. It becomes a frustrating experience. I mean, even the vent control here is touch capacitive. I don't know if I brought that up already. Anyways, yeah, just get the rear wheel drive model unless you need to have all wheel drive, unless you need to show off your friends. You can do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. Other than that, you do it once, then what's the point? You're just carrying around extra weight and it's bringing down your efficiency. But it is fun to do that every once in a while. Gosh, it is fast, but like I said, I didn't do that once the whole time with the kids in the car. And if you have passengers in the back of the car, that's going to make them sick if you're just getting on that instant power and torque. Is it worth double the price of the Genesis G80 electric? In my opinion, no. But it offers a lot of things that vehicle doesn't, with a lot of frustration as well from the software and interface side of things. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.